Hello, hello. So, if you ever tried to forgive someone and still feel the lingering thoughts and the pain in your body, this life is for you. We're going to talk about forgiveness as a spiritual technique or technology and not how we perform in the false matrix, true forgiveness, right? Or tentative forgiveness, because your body doesn't forget. Every single muscle in your body has memory, including the heart, and we need to actually understand how it works in order to not forgive from the mouth out, which is a basic form of forgiveness that we have been taught or indoctrinated in, but truly forgive from the heart, which for some may be something, I will say, a weakness, but for me has become literally a strength. And we're gonna get to it. We're gonna talk about it gradually, and we're also gonna speak about some spiritual blueprints in the Bible that can guide you into this. All right. So, forgiveness is not excusing our behavior or anybody else's, it's reconciling with your authenticity, with your truth, with yourself. It's a way of releasing those emotional contracts that we build through the years. Um, and the majority of them are the ones that are keeping your body hostage to reminisce in past experiences. It is a practice, it's not a moment. So it's encompassed with a lot of awareness of what role you played. Um, for me, it's an act of self love because this healing act is not a gift to anybody else, but to yourself. And it helps you understand more about your worthiness. So, um, our bodies, this is the main vessel. And the reason why we are to take care of our vessel is because to experience this journey, this is the vehicle that we have been gifted with. The body has many organs, they all play a role in the experience, and all of them are interconnected. Now, outside your vessel, there's two more spiritual aspects of you, which is the spirit. What people call the Holy Spirit is literally your connection to divinity. And then your auric field, which is the vibration of your energy. If a person can see an aura, they can see if it has cracks, they can see if it has shadows, um, etc. So, one of the ways that we protect ourselves mostly is understanding the paradigm of this reality. Because have you heard ever the phrase, your external world reflects your internal world? It is true, but also it is something by to where you got and what you reactive instead of responsive. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about the emphasis of Luke in the Bible being the heart as the center of intention. A lot of people that have indoctrinated ways on themselves that act a specific way, when you come with them with a true intention, they may feel that your intentions are not authentic based on their own perception of what they or how they behave. We're also going to talk about not only your body being a vessel to the spirit, but the pureness of your heart. Why the pureness of your heart? I've been told that I'm very naive or I am very innocent. And even though I have some malice formed by the experiences I had in life, I made a personal choice to see everyone through the eyes of a kid. And the reason why I do this is not because I don't want to face reality. It's because the only way to understand a human being like us is to have that posture in life, because kids don't hold resentment unless parents teach them to hold them. Adults hold resentments because they haven't healed or understood projections, because they may feel unworthy or because you challenge them to see deeper within themselves. So, I'm following the bullet points because I told Copilot, "Oh, I want to try talking about all of this, and I need you to do a list for me because I sometimes go off track. So I need to keep myself focused because I become very passionate about the things I speak, not because I think that I know it all, just because I like speaking about this, as in the past of not being allowed by my family and friends to speak from an honest place of truth where the wisdom engraved in my DNA just speaks for itself instead of having to feel conditioned to fit in or downplay my spiritual knowledge and beliefs to appease others. So I stopped doing that, and I've learned that faith, action, and embodiment doesn't mean that you think you are something. It it actually states that you know where your heart is at, and you express yourself from that space. Um, I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I'm not going to say I never hurt anyone, because that will be a fallacy. And I live in my truth. My truth is that I did not know I had PTSD. Therefore, I was always mega reactive on my past few years. And it was my responsibility to learn how to actually handle this reminiscing pain in the body and start for so when I started this journey, I spoke about peeling the onion and I was speaking about my parents and the things that happened and the experiences I went through. And um, obviously, I didn't know much about when we see a projection, we don't need to engage with that projection because that only gives power to the people that are trying to shock your nervous system and get you to not only act out of character, but also it can bring you into a very bad mental health space. With that said, I want you to look at the story of Luke from a spiritual point, right? Because we often are required to have faith, and a lot of people don't remember what true faith is. Faith is not believing that something come and save you, or someone else needs to be accountable for your well-being. Action doesn't mean that I have to overwork myself in order to get what the universe has in store for me. It means that when I speak, I'm going to speak from a place of love, a healed version of myself, which is an understanding and compassionate being without becoming an enabler. And that is very important. Embodiment. We are not perfect, therefore, we're not going to be 100% all the time as calm, sweet, and vulnerable as we should. But they say practice makes perfect. And with that, I'm not saying practice being falsely another person, just a lot like I'm doing right now. So, let's see. When it comes to internal cleansing, and when I spoke about how the elders around me indoctrinated me into feeling a certain way, that brought some lingering neurological sensations to my body. When you're experiencing a download from divine, you actually can feel the same lingering tingling sensations in your body. Um, they can come as butterflies in the stomach. They can come as kind of anxiety. So, what's important is to sit down and allow your body to remember, not to remember the trauma, but to remember who you are. So, one of the things that the body with PTSD does in me, the other day I spoke about this event that happened, how I controlled it, and then the next day, eventually, as my daily things happen, I started noticing my body started shaking and my voice as well. So I had to take myself out of my daily tasks, not because I couldn't handle it, but because I learned to give my needs in peace, calm, and tranquility, so not so I can actually accept the experience, intake the knowledge, and channel the spiritual message that is to come, instead of going in panic mode or stress mode and not understanding what's happening. So, how your body keeps score you're gonna feel it in tension. You feel tension in your neck, in your shoulders. You can feel tension in your back. You can feel tension in your hands, um, in your feet. You get into hypervigilance mode, which I call it my jitters, and you go into shutdown, which is the energy draining, right? You will have emotional flashbacks, maybe a word, a phrase that somebody said that still lingers. And I believe that if we stay in that stage, and I am living proof of it, you will somatize that into a medical condition. When I learned that my inability to allow myself to go with the flow was somatizing these experiences into medical conditions, I took it upon myself to not force myself into healing, but allow myself the compassion that I needed into getting there. Um, when you forget, the majority of the time, your body will stop bracing for impact. Your heart rate actually changes, and you learn how to breathe deeply, because you're teaching your nervous systems that that loop is not going to repeat again, that cycle is not going to repeat again. So why for me forgiveness is an act of power? Because we're here to break generational curses and patterns. And one of my fears was I don't want to become what my mom and dad were, based on my knowledge about unconditional love and how indoctrinated they were. Um, Still, I have much love for them and I accept them for who they are, but I stop allowing their indoctrination or whatever things they said to me in the past to identify with me. So you need to disassociate from the identificators or identification and stigmas that people have placed on you. Because you have intuition, and your intuition is telling you the steps to take, who to trust, and how to become more open to love. And in order to restore your ability to love, you need to learn to trust, but not others first. You need to trust yourself, because no one is going to give you that sense of security in trusting yourself, making the right choices than yourself. So, yeah, that's aligned with what divine consciousness has been speaking through me in the channel messages that are in my community post. If you want to check them out, you will see the roller coaster of emotions. I'm not deleting anything, I'm leaving everything as it is. It is there for a reason, and um, you may resonate with it. So, the reason why I create jewelry is not because I want to be famous or anything like that with my jewelry, is because every piece of jewelry has part of my healing experience. Every piece of jewelry has also symbols, because symbols are what you believe they are. And a lot of people have indoctrinated us to fear symbols. And the majority of the symbols out there, people put a value to them. And honestly speaking, symbols are just what you want them to be, the same as the life. Life is what you want it to be. If you want to stay in the victim standpoint and you want to think that everybody is acting against you, Nobody's going to take you away from that thought, because that is what you're bringing into the equation and not what truly is happening. What truly is happening is that you actually are going through the contracts that you signed in order to evolve and learn how to live in this reality, right? In this matrix with more authenticity and acceptance of how divine you are. So, um, the reason why I make my jewelry as a wearable intention is because it may call people into a specific moment of their journey where they need that symbol to uplift them or to transform. And then why I believe forgive, because not everybody in this world it's capable of truly forgiving from the heart. A lot of people condition forgiveness. I will forgive you if you do this. I will forgive you if you do that. That is not love. That is conditioning. I just forgive you because I love you, because you are a human being just like myself. You're a learning pilgrim in this matrix. And what you did to me didn't affect me as a person. It actually was a catalyst for me to remember who I was. One of the things that we need to understand is this experience is what you want it to be. If you want it to be only pain and suffering, then you will stay the victim. If you want it to be something that will give you a chance to reach your highest potential, then it will be that. So I work with artists. I help them dab into the shadows, create from their emotions, but also learn how to release that experience in the moment so they can actually still live life without the without the wound that caused them to get that emotional sense when they create art. Because remember, we are creators. So when we create, we are actually planting seeds of hope, we're planting seeds of love, and we become the owners of our own garden. So if someone is trying to tell you something that goes against your heart and your knowledge, then you learn how to actually, it's not ignore them, but accept it as a projection and see them with a piece of that kind of love that you know exists, and understand that separation is not true. Separation is an illusion, because we're all created from one vast energy which vibrates in the higher frequency, which is unconditional love. And when we are actually in that vibration, the things that we attract to our experience are based on that vibration. But if our mindset is not in that vibration, then we're not actually calling to our experience other than our thoughts. So, duality is when you want something very, very, very much and you have this positive state out of it, but your mind is acting in contrary of what you want. So, if you want love, you cannot be scared of falling in love. If you want success, you cannot be scared of putting yourself out there. If you want to paint, you cannot be scared about what others are going to say about what you're painting. If you want to sing, you cannot be scared about how others receive your voice. But you have to actually, at one point, allow yourself to make mistakes. Try. Just try. So if this is resonating with you, drop a heart, a like, chat with me if you have any questions. And I want to do a little release through the heart exercise. And what I want you to do is just roll your shoulders backwards very intensely, very soft. You see how it all comes in and it goes out. And I feel maybe like a tingling sensation down your spine, down your back, but just up, back, and down, front, up, back, and down. Now I want you to place your hand in your heart and the other hand in your belly. And allow your jaw actually to feel soft. We always keep a lot of tension in this area. So just allow your jaw to drop. All right? We're safe in this moment. We're safe in this space. Nobody's watching you. So just take a moment to take the weight out of expectations. Think of that event or that person or that moment or that version of yourself that you have been holding on tightly that caused tension, and acknowledge it. Don't judge it. Just acknowledge it. You can close your eyes, put your hand in your heart and the other one in the belly, because the creation comes from the sacral chakra and your heart is the one that knows the truth. So see what part of your body is tensioning. If it is, I would say, the back of the shoulders, if it is your wrist, if it is this area right here, then just give it a little massage. Just make sure that if something tightens up, you can massage it, give it care, or just acknowledge it. Don't judge it, right? You want to connect with that emotion so you can understand it and release it. So when Luke in the Bible, which is a blueprint for me, teaches us that healing begins with the heart, we cannot perform forgiveness. We have to feel the forgiveness. And to feel the forgiveness, you have to know that the love that you carry within you is higher than the action or the event that happened. In my case, I had a lot of traumatic events, and it was more difficult for me to let go of certain things. I have a photographic memory, so images at times just click. And if you understand that you are the roots of the tree that will bring out the fruit, in order for you to ground yourself, you have to allow that experience to be what it was, a teaching moment. Allow that person to be what they were, a vessel of activation for you to actually be where you are right now, confronting the situation. Because maybe you couldn't see it before. If that situation didn't happen, which happened for you and not against you, you may not be in the place or the space to forgive yourself or others. So I want you to go ahead and do box breathing right now with your hand on your heart and in your sacral area and the root area. And I want you to count to 4 while you inhale, hold for 4, and release. Let's do that together. All right. As you inhale, you can think about a white light coming and cleansing you. While you hold, you can feel the tension being released. And while you exhale, you see it going out of your body. All right? There's only one truth. And the truth is that we are all universal spirits walking in this life to transmute, transform, and remember our energy. Remember that we are not separated from divine consciousness, that we are embodiments of that love through our actions, that we're here to serve others with gifts of love, rather if it is through arts, through words, through scriptures or writings. That's why there were scribes in the Bible. And we're not talking about religious, we're talking about the Bible being a blueprint of you to understand your body, okay? So in this forgiveness moment, you can say things like, I release the emotional contract that keeps me tied to this pain. But you have to believe it, okay? See it as it is done. I choose peace over replaying the past. That is an impactful one because when thoughts are lingering in your mind, you're automatically transporting yourself to that moment. So acknowledge it. Tell them, I know you're there, but I choose peace over replaying the past. My body deserves freedom. Not only your body, your mind, your soul. You deserve freedom to love from a space where you feel safe to being authentic. And my heart deserves softness. That one was one that hit me like a ton of bricks. I often forced myself to do more. And in order for us to heal, we need to understand that the indoctrinations of that status quo that our friends, families have imposed on us may not go with the truth of the pureness of your heart is something that we need to learn to let go of. So my heart deserves softness. Not because I want to talk like this. No, this is me talking from my heart. I don't fake it when I am actually out with friends. I'm loud and I'm funny. But when I speak to them about healing, I don't fake the love I feel for them. I honestly speak from what I'm doing with you guys today. This is part of who I am, and a lot of people can feel entitled to take advantage of this, thinking it's a weakness, but they're only lying to themselves, because I once became the bully of my bullies. And I didn't realize that their energy was lingering in me so much that I was acting like them. And that's not who I am. That was never who I was. And that is never who I am going to become, because my heart knows better. And yes, I don't use this tone the whole entire day. That will be bananas and false. Totally false. If you see me around, this is the tone you're gonna get. I'm always talking with my hands. But when it comes to share my love, my chest feels open. Not when you use a tone, but when you allow your heart to speak. So you can notice the shift when you're around a cute animal, a baby, a puppy, or when you see a loving moment of an elder couple just walking down the street. Anything brings you happiness and joy in that moment, and you feel like that is an amazing experience. But how are you going to experience it if you're still scared of falling in love with yourself? How are you going to experience it if you don't feel worthy of experiencing it? Those are the dualistic things of the mind that we need to move from in order to actually shift our world and start being the creators that we are. So, if you place both of your hands in your heart and you just make this one statement today with me, which is, I am choosing myself. It's not selfish, it's self love. I am choosing myself. I am choosing myself. And the moment that you decide to choose yourself, you're going to stop allowing others to have a main character role in your life. You're going to take back your power, and you're going to allow your roots to ground. You are going to allow yourself to say no when you need to say no. And you're going to open a space where those who respect your boundaries will be received with open hearts. And those who do not respect your boundaries will find compassion in your voice, understanding in your words, yet not an open space where they can think they're entitled to your time. So there is many ways to heal. There's only one truth: awareness. If you keep on blaming everyone else outside yourself from your circumstances or for where you are in life, there's no healing. There's just victim. And even when I had very traumatic events, I don't feel a victim. I acknowledge that I placed myself in those spaces because I didn't know what healthy boundaries looked like. And it was my responsibility to learn them. So Thank you for your time, your space. Feel free to ask questions when we have live chats. I may not know the answer to all of it, but I know my divine consciousness or my higher self can tap into spiritual messages or guide you into reading parts of the Bible that may work as a blueprint to understand what part of the healing are you in or what part of the body is speaking to you. Bye bye. Take care. Much love, peace, and light.